That's what's required to do software, and it's still hard. I was on a call today with a business mentor, and one of the guys in the program was like, you know what, I want to do software. He was like, all right, let's go. Have you got any leads? Have you got any customers? Have you got any money? Have you got any experience? Have you got an idea? He's like, the least important by a mile is the idea. Software, he said, was literally the most difficult experience that he'd ever taken on. And I was like, wow. Because software, it looks so easy. It looks so simple. Read a book. You're like, oh yeah, how hard can it be? And he was like, you know what? It's really hard. It's really hard if you've got a truckload of cash coming in, if you've got customers, if you've got distribution networks, if you've got beta testers, if you've got experience in software, and if you've had success before. Without all of those things, it's like, stay the heck away. You got a 99.9999% failure rate. And I think this is important because as general practice is so frustrating and irritating, some of us might be tempted to look over to these other realms and say, well, the grass looks a whole lot greener in that software land. I mean, how hard can it be? But the quoted number that I've been given is 70% failure rate, and that's people showing up with cash, with experience, and still 70% failure rate. My mentor described businesses that were doing millions of dollars and then went for that next level expansion and bankrupted the software company. This story is not uncommon. You just don't hear about it. Number of apps that fail, that succeed and fail. I mean, it's like, oh, you know what? Maybe general practice is looking okay. Food on the table every week. Money comes in. And it's not to say that general practice isn't difficult, because it is. General practice is very difficult. But I had an offer to be involved in AI. They're like, how much for the MVP? I'm like, I don't know. How much do you think? And they're like, we reckon it's around the 1.2 million for an MVP. Something that does not bring in revenue, something that will have bugs, something that needs taking to doctors and practicing with and learning from. $1.2 million. And I'm like, whew, that's before you get customers, and that's before anything else happens. So this idea that perhaps we could just pivot across, and whether it's software or whether it's something else, perhaps it's truck driving. I had this weird thought today. I was like, you know what? Imagine being a truck driver. You just jump in the truck and you're like, and there's no patience, there's no paperwork, there's no NDIS, there's no work cover, there's no illogical Medicare billing, there's no problems. You like, drive the truck. But we must be careful. Caution here. Are the problems in general practice solvable? That's the real question. Because emergency is not looking good. I got to chat to some ambulance guys today, and they're like, dude, emergency is in dire straits. I was like, yeah, I know. So they're going to run into a similar problem that general practice has right now, where no one wants to do emergency. No one wants to do general practice. No one wants to do emergency. Everyone wants to be a specialist. This is going to be very curious. Still, what does it mean? What does it mean? What I took from this was that there's a learning experience that can be gained, that software may well offer solutions for us in general practice, but looking at things like my health record, you know, it's like, oh, that is not a good product. It doesn't actually help me most of the time. Occasionally helps me, occasionally might help you, but in terms of a go-to tool where I'm like, this is the best thing since sliced bread, it does this thing, such as, hey, this is what the patient's currently on. This is their current medications. This is their current allergy list. This is their current diagnosis. This is their past history. That'd be really helpful. But now you're talking about something that is difficult. APIs, connections, security levels. And that's why software in healthcare is so difficult, particularly in Australia, because not only have you got healthcare plus IT, which in itself leads to major difficulties in security and updating and all of these problems, looking at the Medibank break-in, not running secure data? Medibank private? Come on, people. What is this, like the 1997? It should have been locked down. But then you throw in the government? Game over. Virtually impossible. Virtually impossible. So be cautious. Perhaps this lesson out of this experience is like, well, maybe there's a focus to come to what I do. How do I do that better? How do I do general practice better? How do I get better results for my patients? How do I increase the health and vitality of my patients? How do I prevent them from having chronic diseases? How do I get those chronic diseases to optimal management? All of these are significant problems in healthcare, in general practice right now. Adding pharmacists, urgent care clinics, I just don't see how this is the solution. This is not the solution. Getting stuff that works for us as GPs, where it becomes night and day. Oh, you're doing this and you're getting those results. I want to know how to do that. I want that for my patients too. Why? Because those patients will pay more. I was chatting to my training buddy and they were like, geez, you know, all these GPs charging. I'm like, you know what? If you go 8 times and your GP bulk bills the plans and you got a chronic disease, you're up for a grand total of like $400 per year to have quality care. And I was like, geez, that's sounding ridiculously cheap. But every time I've gone and said, you know what, I think it should be about $2,500 a year to see me as a GP. People are like, oh my goodness, that is ridiculous. Why would anyone pay that? I'm like, well, because if they lose their health, they're in for extraordinarily difficult lives. It gets difficult with any of these chronic diseases. Preventing that, or if they've got them already, optimizing so they can get back and hang out with their grandkids or show up to work 4 days instead of 1, to preserve their income, to preserve their ability to work and play and hang out with their kids. These are extremely valuable outcomes. And it's just that people have been indoctrinated that free is a good thing, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Those who pay attention. Those who pay do the work. Those who pay for healthcare will get better results. So I'm going a little off topic. But just in case you were thinking about software as your Hail Mary saving grace, just know it's hard. It's really hard, and there might be a whole lot easier options if you want to pivot out of general practice and go choose something else besides software. All right, that's all I got for you today. Hope you're having an awesome day. Look forward to seeing you on another episode as we journey into the GP crisis. See you then.